Welcome everyone to another episode of Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. Today we're going to do something special again. So last time I looked at the HMS Tegethoff and we fought a battle against the Italian fleet that was AI built. But today what we're going to do is we're going to do another custom battle. But this time we're going to play as the British, and we're going to play as the British in the Jutland skirmish. So that was the initial skirmish that happened between Admiral Hipper and Admiral Beatty when they, let's say prior to the major engagement at the Battle of Jutland. And in this engagement, a couple, I believe 6 battlecruisers of the British Navy engaged 5 battlecruisers of the German Navy. And the British actually came, had the worst of it compared to the Germans. So what we're going to do is we're going to rebuild HMS Lion. That served actually along with the Queen Mary during that first battlecruiser engagement. So let's get started. So we start with technology from 1910. The engagement, we still need to close the range a bit initially. Of course we will fight against the Germans, and we will have 6 battlecruisers against 5 German ones. Okay, so if we want to rebuild the HMS Tiger, or let's say the Lion class, I think we actually need to skip a year probably. No, maybe another year. Yeah, we need this hull design. Otherwise we cannot get to the... This is not even the tonnage that the class had, because the class had around 13,500 tons and we cannot get there. Not even with the second version of the battlecruiser hull, but at least it's getting us a bit closer than what we can do with the first version, which is up till 23,000 tons. Its speed, this is absurd by the way, but its speed was, if I recall correctly, 28 knots of the ship design. Range, I think medium is okay, but we will figure this out later. It used turbine engines. I guess it used semi-fuel. I don't know about this one. I also don't know about this, but let's just give it some characteristics that I think should fit the design. Of course it didn't have the German types of steel, but I would say that it probably can go with Crop 2. I think British steel was not that bad, to be honest. But again, maybe they actually used the Harvey steel, casting and face hardening. So I don't know, to be honest, which type we should choose here, which is mostly accurate. But let's say we have an equivalent of Group 2 or so, Group 1, Group 2, for gameplay purposes. Then let's just try to get the Type 2 barbettes in. Anti-torpedoes, I think they had decent. Bulkheads, I think we can go with reinforced. Anti-float, I think we can go with decent, so that would be level 2. And we will go with the Citadel 3 type. Protection. We of course use cordite as our charge. That, well, the British are notorious. Maybe should go with this one, but that's more expensive second type. But the British are notorious for using the cordite power of the charges. actually in the for the guns. So especially during the Battle of Jutland, because a lot of their ships actually sank, especially in that first skirmish engagement. I don't know. Let's go with this. It sounds reasonable. Let's go with fast torpedoes, and they had, if I see this correctly, that even 21 inch, which you cannot choose, so we go with the largest. Well, they had worse rangefinders compared to the Germans, so I think we can go with this one, the stereo, for the coincidence rangefinder 2. Perhaps we can go with this. I don't know whether the Germans have access to this one, because then in that case we could also go, maybe we should go actually with this, the best of the coincidence rangefinders we can use. Assuming the Germans may be able to unlock this one technology wise, but I don't know, we will see. And then the armor protection on the ship was actually, it had a 9-inch belt, up from 4 to 9 inches, so for the belt extenders we choose 4. It had a conning tower of 10, apparently, 10 inches thick. It had 2.5 inches of deck armor. It does not specify any change, so let's just go with also the deck extended to be that thick. It had 9-inch turrets, so the same as the belt. And I think we can go with also the same thickness for the turret top. Secondaries is not specified, so let's go with something like 5 inches. Don't think that's super important. Maybe we should go with let's go with 3.5, just to be on the safer side. That's what I would normally do. Well, maybe even higher, but I would also choose higher values for the belt extended, but let's see. So now we will start to design the ship, which is not that easy actually, because it's a very strange design in many ways. Let's first plot down the main tower. I believe it did have a mast kind of phenotype, so maybe something like this. We will see. It also had 3 funnels, which is kind of special. And then it had actually, if I recall correctly, a small, very small, no, this is too large, maybe something like this, but probably more like this, a small secondary tower, and it then had, if I recall correctly, a funnel in front of it, so something like this. It was kind of a strange design, like I said. Then, for the main armament, the ship had 4 dual 13.5 inch turrets. Now, for our purposes, let's go with, this is of course difficult because it's exactly in the middle of the two. Let's go with 13 inch. And then it had it in such a configuration like this a bit. Then we need to have a barbette in the front. And actually this was very close to the first tower, which I observed from a picture at least. Okay. Now the next thing that we need to do is torpedoes. So it had 1 launcher on each side. It had 2 launchers in total. And what it also had was secondary guns. 4 inches, single barrel. It's being specified 16 in total. So that would mean 8 on each side. So let's go with something like this. 6, 7, 8. Guess something like this. We will see. Yeah, it looks a bit strange. Can we? Oh, let's see. Can we put them back a bit? Probably. Five, 6, 7, 8. Okay, this seems a bit neater. So, what are we at? We can still do a bit more. So, for these purposes, let's just bump up the bulkheads. Maybe bump up the auxiliary engines. Oh yeah, let's look at the engine efficiency. We can increase that. Induced, that would bring us to 100%, so that's fine. Is there something else we can improve further? Because we're now using the 13-inch towers, we can... Let's see actually. So if we would increase that to the 14-inch, we can also do that. I think we can get away with it in terms of weight. Of course, these need to be gone then. Yeah, this turret was not really that far back, so we will have a 4-weight offset a bit. But, well, it is what it is. I cannot change it. It's how it looks like on the pictures. It's a bit like this, so... Maybe you can just smuggle a bit. Make it a bit smaller, the change. So we still have some weight left and we're not even at the 30,000. Okay, let's say that they had like a long range. That's also, I guess, realistic. Okay, let's just bump up the barbettes then. I don't know about this, to be honest. Shall we just go with heavy shells? Let's do that. We're also using the cordite, which is not that well, powerful. Maybe we can go with this. I think this is fine. This seems like a well-designed, balanced craft. So this would then be... This would then be HMS Tiger. Or a Lion. It seems... well, it does look very similar to what you can see on the photos. Okay, let's go ahead and fight. Let's see how we do against the Germans. So our goal is to do better, of course, than what happened historically. Historically, well, the British actually came down the worst, but that was also due to some, you could say, captaineering issues, or admiral mistakes. They targeted some of the ships and others they did not. I just now forced that single battlecruiser to get in line. And apparently the British accuracy was woeful. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 26 27 28 29 30 31 32 33 34 35 36 37 38 39 40 41 42 43 44 45 46 47 48 49 50 51 52 53 54 55 56 57 58 59 60 61 62 63 64 65 66 67 68 69 70 71 72 73 74 75 76 77 78 79 80 81 82 83 84 85 86 87 88 89 90 91 92 93 94 95 96 97 98 99 100 101 102 103 104 105 106 107 108 109 110 111 112 113 114 115 116 117 118 119 120 121 122 123 124 125 126 127 128 129 130 131 132 133 134 135 136 137 138 139 140 141 142 143 144 145 146 147 148 149 150 151 152 153 154 155 Okay, so the enemy is apparently in the north, so we start to turn a bit. Seems, by the way, that one of the guns here is still misplaced. Okay, well, it should be okay. Okay, so they should be all the way in the north. Somewhere. Do not spot them yet, but I must say that also these towers are not the best, so perhaps we will spot them a bit yeah, later than expected. Okay. We are spotted by the enemy, but I do not spot them yet, so I do spot them now. Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to go sideways. We will not try to cross their T, because that's a bad idea. But actually going broadside is also a bad idea. Maybe we should go a bit like this. And the entire squadron should perhaps focus on that. Closest target. Let's just go. We do officially have one more battlecruiser than they have, so. But we should be aware that, of course. Okay, let's slow down a bit. Okay, so we have the first Bismarck. It only has 9-inch guns. Effectively, the Germans had better than that in reality. Germans did have good armor, though. They also seem to have good armor in our case. But their guns were definitely better than the 9 inches. I think that 12-inch guns, a bit smaller than the British. I think we need to turn a bit. Okay, one of our torpedoes is now has been fired. That one hit. Okay, I think the first of the German ships, yeah, that one is gone. Let's focus on the Molke. Okay, I think another ship of ours took the lead. The Warrior is now taking the lead. Don't hit each other, please. So stupid. Okay, the German ships are getting a pounding. If that stupid Monarch is now for once just getting out of the way, we might be able to score some hits. Just a risk case that we start to, of course, also hit our own ships. Okay, that one is gone. Next, that's going to be the Ersatz Scharnhorst. That's going to be the next target. And this we seem to actually start to win very easily. That's also due to the enemy just not having the... They only have 9-inch guns here in this example, or this fight. It's not a lot. This ship of ours is actually pretty hammered. So we have two ships that are pretty dangerously damaged and could sink. But this is an absurd engagement. This is, how to say, it's... This is so close as being engaged with each other. It's also not really line fighting anymore. Like this. Like this, of course, well, the accuracy of our guns is good. But on the other hand, I mean, if this is what it takes to win against these Germans, then you will do so. Because it's now pretty lopsided. Yeah, it's pretty lopsided. I mean, this one is also... Yeah, that one is also gone. So we have only... couple of their ships left. The Glorious is having some issues, being sandwiched by two of the German ships. Also, the German tonnage is way less compared to ours, so they just have way less room for trying different stuff. It's a sad thing that we cannot really specify the ship specific. I mean, 28.5 knots is pretty high, though we are also not that slow, I must say. Lions were, of course they were battlecruisers, but they were also pretty fast ships for their day. Okay, so everything can now be focused on the Mars. Last German battlecruisers. Okay, and that was it already. So our Lions, which were of course in the majority as well from the start, our Lions actually did very well. Contrary to the historical performance. So there you have it. HMS Lion. It did very well. Maybe we should try another time. Let's see whether we can get different opponents. Let's see. Let's fight this one out a bit more, I guess, historically correct. Yeah, this one's also to follow. That's good. So what they did historically was British kept way too far from the Germans. Well, actually, what they did was they engaged at the most optimal German engagement range, whereas they themselves should have either stayed out a bit further, or they should have closed down on the Germans. And they didn't do that. They just went broadside. They just went broadside and they stayed that way. So I'm going to give that a try as well now. This is of course, well, I guess not the best tactic considering the situation. Now what is the distance? 9 kilometers. I guess it's actually a bit closer than what happened historically. Let's go a bit slower. Let's try to form up the line. Of course, historically they met each other head on. So it wasn't like this that we now actually have to form up the line. And historically, each of the ships actually targeted one of the Germans. But I don't think we can. Can we do that? Can we just select? No, we cannot select one ship. We can only just select the entire squadron. But you can already see that now, if we are just, well, going alongside. We are getting already damaged way more. Though we do have, of course, the cordite shells, of which I don't know, to be honest. What the Germans actually, I think they use TNT. I think the Germans are really well known for using TNT already very early on as their best shells, or as their naval charges. I mean, now it's really going quite even, I would say. We are getting some damage, they are getting damaged. So this is roughly, actually what kind of guns? They now also have 14 inches, which is actually a bit, well, higher in terms of caliber than that the Germans had historically. I think historically they used either 13 or 12-inch guns. But we are sinking now the first of their battlecruisers, so we already did a bit better. And we will now start to increase the range again a bit, I would say. I think our single ship that is that we have as an advantage. Oh, I think that was a that was something that also happened historically a lot. A case of what happened to our bloody ships today. That magazine is. Or their there's something wrong with our bloody ships today. That's exactly what they said, or what Beatty said. Okay, let's see. It's difficult to actually stay loyal to what happened in the real battle, because we're now again a bit on the close side of the engagement. What's happening here? Oh, the Heesen is also hit. Then with the Kronprinz. Yeah, I think we're still kind of winning this easily. But also with the torpedoes, sometimes we just hit them. And the Germans don't seem to have any torpedoes on their ship currently. Okay, so now we have a case of just having 2 enemy battlecruisers left, yeah, against our 5. So again, pretty lopsided victory. Of course, in reality, also the British didn't have only line class battlecruisers. They had also other types, which were much older than HMS Lion and HMS Tiger. And, okay, the Friedrich the Kreuzer song. So again, another victory. So I think this really shows that at least the design was okay. At least, well, this design is actually pretty good. It's also pretty, how to say, buffed. The maximum tonnage we are using maximum bulkheads, but we're still not at the weight where the original battlecruisers of the British Navy were at. So in that regard, it's still actually underpowered or underweight. Perhaps the British actually used less advanced steel or armor. Could be. Maybe they used the Harvey stuff instead of the Krupp-like steel or armor. So that could also, yeah, affect it. Yeah, if you would go there, then you would also be closer to the historical weight as well, I guess. And less protection. But in general, these were actually pretty well designed battlecruisers. I mean, the major problem in the Battle of Jutland, or the skirmish before the battle, was mostly due to the fact that the British apparently, from what I understood, actually left the magazine rooms a bit more or less open, or at least some of the doors, I believe, towards those rooms, and that the cordite shells and the charges that were used for the guns were, well, could be easily hit, and that, I believe the idea is that could have blown up these ships pretty easily, much more easy than to be expected based on their paper stats. And that was mostly due to, well, incorrect handling of the crew. At least that is what is, I think, being said or thought right now, of the charges and of the shells. And that might have made these battlecruisers extremely vulnerable and cause them to blow up quickly within the first, well, let's say, well, hours, I believe, of the battle, or minutes for the skirmish. But later on also others sank. But again, well, we've looked at the line class of battlecruisers of the British in a kind of skirmish-like circumstance for the engagement. And I hope that you liked this video. If you did, please don't forget to like. And of course, if you have any suggestions about a ship to rebuild, reconstruct in the game, or a particular engagement, and please don't ask for the full Battle of Jutland, because the computer and the game cannot handle those numbers, sadly. So that's unless we make a, well, tuned down version of that one, we cannot do that. So that's a sad. Well, that's the truth and the current state of the game, and also I believe of our hardware. Though I actually have a pretty good computer, I would say, but it's, yeah, the game also is limited in that regard, and the software. But anyway, so other things I can always look into, whether it's feasible to do that. But if you have anything, please suggest, and I will see what I can do. And with that, I hope you enjoyed it, and see you again next time.